Thanks for joining me for the next installment of the real world mile per gallon test. And this week we have a 2023 Honda Accord Sport Hybrid. Now this is an all new design by Honda. So let's see what kind of mileage we get out of this. See if it can match the EPA or what the car is registering. Real quick, let's take a look at this and then we'll head to the gas station. So you can see they made a huge change with the front end of this car. I don't mind it too much. The front isn't too bad, but if you come around to this side and this angle right here, I don't like the way that the back end curves off. It's just not appealing to me. Some people may like it, but this radiant red metallic color is very nice. And you can see it's got black trim everywhere around it, black wheels, got a black spoiler. All looks pretty cool. There you can see it is the Hybrid Sport. Pop this real quick, you see the amount of space. It's actually not too bad. You can see way deep in there. So decent amount of space in the trunk. Let's take a look in the back here. And you can see there's a decent amount of room in the back seats. There are no vents for the back seats, which I don't understand why, but they should have vents. But there's your back seat. And then we'll take a look at this interior here. It is pretty nice. I actually do like it. There's your driver's display. There's your infotainment screen. I like the venting going across. The only bad thing is I can't use my cell phone holder on these vents. But other than that, it does look pretty nice in here. Now that you've seen the car, let's run to the gas station. Let's get filled up. Let's get topped off. Then we'll head out and we're gonna do our mile per gallon test. Now, with this test, we are making a little change from previous tests if you have watched them, because we are far exceeding EPA highway mileage, not just the average. So I'm going to make a little altercation, which is going to give us a little bit more mileage, a little bit more city driving. We're going to make a lap through the city on the one before we get on the interstate, and then when we come off the interstate, we'll do the same thing in reverse. That will give us a little bit more city driving and a little bit more miles on our test, which I wanted to be 100, so maybe we'll get close to that. And maybe that will balance things out a little bit, having a little bit more city driving. But that's where we're at right there, and I'll go over more details about the test later, but let's get to the gas station, get filled up, and get out of here. Okay, we are here at the gas station, and we're gonna get filled up here. And so it doesn't require premium, so we are gonna use 87 octane. Get in there. There we go, started. Been driving this for a few days, so I'm not sure how much we're gonna have to put in here, but it was showing that it was still pretty full. Oh, there, only a gallon. Okay, so got that in there. Now we're gonna do our quick top off. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 5 seconds. We will use 5 seconds and on our next fill up when we come back, especially if we don't use the same pump. But there we are right now. Put in $5, 1.3 gallons, so. All right, and get our receipt, our super long receipt. Let's go get this test started. Okay, we have reset trip A. That's what we're gonna be following right now. We're all on zeros, so let's get headed out. heading out of our first town. We're going to accelerate up to 60. And as you can see right here on our trip, we are averaging 53.8 miles per gallon on 10 miles driven. The cool thing is you can actually see where the power is coming from. So right now we are running with the engine, and the engine is powering the wheels and charging the battery at the same time. So that is pretty cool. And then this meter can stay up the entire time, or you can have it on a bigger screen. It all depends on what you want to see. Right now, I like this because we can see our entire trip and what we're averaging. So you can see there on previous 1, 2, and 3, we're looking at 47, 44, 43. So that is interesting to see. I like being able to see that stuff. You can also flip over to trip B, is what we have been driving on since we got the car. So far, we put 63 miles on it. We're averaging 42.8. So we'll have to see how that turns out for the rest of the time that we have that. And maybe we'll throw that at the end of this video so you guys can see what we have averaged the entire week of having this car. But right now, that's where we're at, 52.7 so far, 53.5. So it's going to fluctuate quite a bit here at the beginning with such low miles on it, but we should balance out later. I will see you guys in the next update. This is your first time joining us for one of these tests. What we're going to do today is we're doing a real world mile per gallon test. Now, what is real world? Real world is city, highway, and interstate driving. And we want to see whether those numbers match up with the EPA, if it matches up with what the car is telling us, because it doesn't always match up with either one of those. And we'd like to know what to expect if we decide we want to purchase this car. So here's the parameters of this test. First off, we fill it up, and then we do a top off. Then we head out on the road. Now, this test is going to be somewhere between 90 and 100 miles. Now, the reason I say that is because I originally started out, it was supposed to be 100 miles. When I actually ran the route, it actually ended up only 90 miles. Now, the problem with that was that we weren't getting in, I don't think we were quite getting enough city driving in. So we decided that we wanted some more city driving, and so now we are going to make a loop through the city right before we get on the interstate. And then when we come off the interstate, we'll make that same loop in reverse. That should give us a little bit more mileage and a little bit more city driving. That should help our numbers get a little closer to what they should be, because what we were doing before was actually getting us numbers that were surpassing the estimated highway numbers, not the average of the city and the highway. So we're going to add a little more city mix into that and see what we get from there. But we're going to run that route all in one direction, and then we'll turn around and come back. So we're looking at running approximately 50 miles of highway, about somewhere between 15 to 20 miles of city, and about 20 miles of highway. So we should be close to 100, and we'll just have to see how that turns out. This 2023 Honda Accord Hybrid is supposed to be getting 46 in the city and 41 on the highway. So I'm guessing, you know, the average is right there is going to be somewhere around 44, somewhere in there. So that's about what we should average. So we'll see what happens, see how that turns out, and I will keep you guys up to date periodically as we enter a city, as we leave a city, and as we get on the interstate and leave the interstate. And then that will hopefully keep you guys updated where we're going, where we're at, and what's affecting the change more than anything else. All right, so I will see you in the next update. Okay, so we are rolling into our town that we're gonna make a loop through before we get onto the interstate. So you can see that we're averaging 51.8 and 25.5 miles. Right now I got the engine powering up the battery, and it should drop off to run on electric only here pretty soon. Usually about halfway it usually kicks itself over to electric. But that's where we're at right now. We're gonna make our loop, and then I will let you know when we get up on the interstate. All right, we are heading out of town. We're getting ready to get up on the interstate. So let's take a look at our numbers right now. We made that loop through town, so now we are at 33.4 miles, and we're averaging 54.3, so it's not changing a whole lot. So maybe getting up on the interstate at higher rate of speed, maybe that's gonna knock it down some, but we'll just have to see when we get there. Here is our on-ramp. We'll get up there, and then we will accelerate generously, just like everyone does when we get on the interstate. All right, let's get on around. This car does handle really well around this curve. I'm going about 35. It's pretty good. It's a pretty tight corner. All right, we're gonna accelerate. Maybe you guys can hear the engine, and here we go. All right, we're gonna get up to 75. And we'll get locked in here at 75. All right, so we're gonna run 75 here on the interstate, and I will check in with you guys when we get back over to where we're going to loop around, and I'll give you the numbers there. But right now, 34.6 miles, 53.1 miles per gallon. It's doing pretty well. All right, we are at our exit here, so we're gonna be getting off right now, and we are now at 49 miles per gallon and 47.6 miles. So actually making that loop in town, and we make that loop again on the way back, that actually might get us right at 100 miles, which is what I was wanting for these tests anyway. So should turn out perfectly. So we are gonna go right around here, gonna make this quick loop, and we'll be right back out on the interstate, and the sun is right at us, so hopefully that is not blinding you guys too bad. And let's get back up here. Right here, we're gonna get back on the interstate. All right, here we go. Back out here. And again, we will accelerate generously as soon as we get straightened out. This one's a little bit of a curvy bend, but that was about 40 miles an hour, and this car took it pretty well. Coming around here, we're still holding this one. This is about 50, and here we go. And we will get locked in at 75 if everybody will let us go 75. But got a little bit of traffic here. Hopefully everybody gets moving. All right, so we are solidified back on the interstate. We are back going 75. And right now, 48.7 miles per gallon, 49.2 miles. So I will pop back in and let you know when we get ready to get off the interstate and see where we're at and we go into town. The other thing that we're doing is we are driving at speeds of 5 miles per hour over the speed limit. And that is in town, highway, and the interstate. So in town driving, we're probably going to be somewhere between 35 and 45, maybe 50. And then on the highway, we're going to be going 60, and on the interstate, 75. So those numbers are pretty much real world numbers, because that's how most people drive, is 5 miles an hour over. I ran a poll, and that's what everybody told me. So that's how we're going to do all of our testing, regardless of whether it's a gas, hybrid, electric. It's all going to be ran on 5 miles per hour over the speed limit. All right, so we are getting ready to get off the interstate right now. As you see, we're still going 75, and here's what we've got: 47.2, 64.4 miles. So that did drop us, because on the interstate at the higher speed, it actually doesn't use the electric motors very often. Every once in a while I would see it click off, but most of the time we were running on engine, so that's where we had that major drop there. So it's still pretty good. 47 cruising on the interstate is really, really good. I believe, like I said, it was a 46 on the highway and 46 in city, 41 on the highway, and so we should have expected that to drop off some. We are back in town now. We're gonna get set here at 50. We're coming into the sun, so I'm not gonna blind you guys too much, but there's the town that we are driving through right now. Got a lot of shops and businesses over here on this side, and including Starbucks and Freddy's Steak Burgers, Stadium Grill, Walmart, McDonald's, pretty much everything right out here. But all right, I will check back in as we exit town. There's a couple factories as we're heading out of town now. We made that loop in town, and right now we are at 48.8 miles per gallon, 70 miles. We have about 30 miles to go. Hopefully we'll get to that 100 mark. It should be pretty close. But that's what we're doing right now. It's actually doing really, really well. Very impressed. It's doing what it's supposed to do. We're gonna get up to speed here. We're gonna accelerate up to 60, and then we're gonna get locked in and we're good to go. So we will be driving at 60 until we make it to our next town, and I will update you then. All right, we are entering the last town and heading up to the gas station. So right now we are at 49.9. It was just saying 50, but accelerating a little bit, kind of took that out of there. But 95.4 miles so far. It's probably going to be right around 95 and a half miles, and we might squeak that little 49.9, might turn into a 50. There it is right there. And there is our gas station. So we are going to be able to get the exact same pump. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to turn in right here. And we will pull up to this pump right here. This is where we started. I'm going to show what we got right when we got here. 95.6 miles, 50.1 miles per gallon. So that's what we're sitting at. All right, we're back here. We're gonna get filled up right now. And we've got just regular unleaded. Hopefully we can get you out of the sun. Angle out of the sun a little bit here. And you guys can see what we're gonna get here. It's probably just gonna be about a gallon, my guess, a little over. At 1.754. All right, we got a 5-second pull is what we had last time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There you go. All right, so we got 7.2 $7.37, 1.940 gallons. So that is going to be our number that we're going to get set up with. So this car did amazing. The ride is very smooth. I really do like the interior in here. Like I said earlier, not so crazy about the body styling, but that's always, you know, subject to any person's personal preference. So you may think it's awesome. It's just not for me, but I love the interior. It's great. Everything is laid out very simple and easy to use. Got a standard old shifter that you just push the button in and pull it back to drive. Love it. Few drive modes. But the best thing about this car was how well it did. So it actually says on the trip computer that, and I'll have that up on the screen, it's saying 50.1 miles per gallon right now. I think it might have been right around 50, but that's what the computer is saying right now. The city was 46, I believe. I also have the window sticker up, and 41 on the highway. So we are well above either of those numbers. And I even added an extra trip around the city, extra trip around the city on the way there and on the way back. Got us to 95.6 miles. So we're going to pull up the calculator right now. 1.940 gallons. So we went 95.6 miles divided by 1.940 equals 49.2. So a little off, just about a mile per gallon off from what the computer on the car says. But that's not too bad. But that's your number. So 2023 Honda Accord Sport Hybrid will get you 49.27 miles per gallon. Real world numbers. And that's just what you can expect. So if you enjoyed this, click the like button. If you're not a subscriber yet, go ahead and subscribe, because we do this with every car. There might be a car that you might be interested in. If you haven't watched the review on this car, make sure that you click the box, probably on this side of my head. And if that one's not of interest to you, then the one down here, YouTube says you probably will like. So make sure you click on that. Don't forget we have memberships available that you will get information ahead of everyone else. You can see videos before everybody else, and you also get to help me try to choose what cars we get to review. So don't forget to check in on that. That'll be in the join button down below. Thank you for being with me, and I will see you in the next one.